few weeks ago, my dog picked up something on my lawn, and it happened to be a baby squirrel. Fortunately, I had her let it go, and the mother squirrel came and took the baby squirrel away. But I thought, who would I call in a situation like this? And I did a Google search for wildlife rehabilitation and came up with the name of Tiffany Van Blaricum, and she is a wildlife rehabilitation and rescue expert, I can say, I think, Tiffany, on Hilton Head Island. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you have in your hand a very tiny little animal curled up. Tell us what it is.
This is a baby squirrel, and they're actually much smaller than this in the beginning of life. And he just wants to curl up and go to sleep right now because he doesn't like the lights.
Yeah, it's got to be a little freaky for the squirrel. But you actually will take in animals. Like the one I found, as you said, was very tiny, probably about this big. But you will take them in and nurse them back to health?
I will. Yes, I get them to a certain point, and then I pass them off to another rehabber that will slow release them back into the wild.
Now, how long will you tend to have if it's a young baby squirrel? How many weeks or how long will you have them?
Oh, it just depends on how small they are. I try to get them to where they're self-sufficient as far as eating on their own before I pass them off to the next rehabber.
Can you give me any kind of guesstimate, or does it really?
I've had them for, as long as 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, truth be told, how many do you have at home right now that you're taking care of?
I have 5 baby squirrels right now, and they're actually going to go to be ready for release on Friday. They're going to go to the next phase for slow release.
Okay, and slow release, what does that mean?
We put them in outdoor pens with ready-made squirrel boxes to get them used to living in the trees. Plenty of food and water. We keep it closed for a while until they get adjusted, and then they open the doors and they just come and go as they please until they eventually find their own way, and they just go and make their own nest and start their new life.
Now, what do you say to people that see squirrels as kind of nuisance animals? How do you respond to that?
Well, they do a lot of damage. They are, what you would call nuisance to a certain degree, but they're just trying to make a living like everybody else,
Right.
But, most people have compassion when they see a baby squirrel. They're not just going to leave it there, and, they do want to call and get help. And, we know that the world is not deprived of squirrel population. We have tons, but, our heart goes out to them.
As you say, people still care because you have 6 at home right now that people have brought to you. How many times a day do you, if it's a really young squirrel, do you have to nurse and make sure it's doing okay, feed it with a dropper or whatever?
Small ones, it could be, anywhere from 4 to 6 times, and then, it just gets, shorter and shorter from there, yeah. But,
this
every 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, it's got to take time and money. You had told me, though, that you don't, I mean, it comes out of your own pocket, but you do appreciate if people that find a little squirrel or something of that nature would give you a donation, right?
Right. We would appreciate it if people could we don't require a fee, but if you could give us a little extra whenever you drop them off, we would appreciate it. And any kind of, cages or carriers, if you know of a wildlife rehabber and you have extras of those, we always need those.
Oh, that's good to know. And you're actually, I found you through Department of Natural Resources. Is that right? I mean, are you a sanctioned person, so to speak, to do wildlife rescue?
Yes.
You are. And you primarily work with squirrels and what else?
Squirrels, possums, and raccoons are usually what I do. I have done birds if it's something that I can just nurture and release. If they're injured, I usually refer to our local vet, Dr. Parker, who has been interviewed.
And he's in Bluffton, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, he's kind of gotten known for doing that. But you generally, if someone has an issue, they can contact you, and if you're not the person, you can refer them to someone that'll be able to help.
Absolutely.
Why do you do this, Tiffany?
I just love them. I don't know why I have such a soft heart for the little critters, but it's passion, and I love it, and I just can't get enough of this. This is like the ultimate high, is holding one of these little guys.
Yeah. And you've been doing it for a while now, right?
Almost 11 years.
11 years. And what made you ever start? Was it finding one on your own once? Or?
I worked in a couple of pet stores in the beginning, and some of the ladies there were doing it, and I just kind of got associated with a lot of great people that just kind of introduced me to this world, and I just fell in love with it.
Well, what do you recommend to someone if they find, like I did, a baby squirrel? I saw the mother nearby. I figured, let's go in and see what happens. But what should you do?
If you can release to the mother like you did, that's always the best solution. We don't want to kidnap baby animals. I mean, their mom is the best mom they're going to have. If you do find a baby, your local vet, or if you go online, you can find me or your local rehabber, wherever you happen to be. Definitely, and they can give you tips and ideas of where to take them. But definitely, if you don't know where to begin, that's where you need to begin if you want to save an animal life.
All right. Anything you want to add that I didn't ask you, Tiffany, before we let you get back to taking care of those squirrels?
Not in particular. I just hope that people will not always see raccoons and squirrels and possums as always a nuisance, you know. Remember, they are animals that were here before us, and they're just trying to continue their life. And we want to preserve them for our children to see one day.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate your time, and we hope to have you on again on the Low Country Report. Tiffany, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.